Welcome to episode 28 of the MMG podcast. I am Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Gocubs 711.
Do you ever dream that takes place entirely in the animation style of the animated movie Robots?
No, I don't think I have. That's a very unique thing to have. I didn't even know that you could dream animation styles.
I'm just wondering. It's just a question.
No, I have not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone. No, I've had dreams where I just a lot of the dreams that I have are very they're either very real, which is always scary to me, or I don't know, they get. I feel like a lot of my dreams are kind of become like these first person things. Like you don't have like an out of body experience at all with my dreams, like some people do. Like it's almost always like I am in my body still, looking at things happening around me, and
that's interesting.
yeah, that's definitely, I think, the kind of dreams that I have for sure. It's a little scary. Anyways, though, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna talk. Welcome to the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl week is the most useless, or pretty much our most useless show, outside of maybe like the Super Bowl recap show. So we have a lot of things that we're gonna talk about, but there's not really any predicting going on. To give like a little bit of a rundown, I guess. We're gonna talk about the conference championship, of course. That's important. We'll talk about the Fallen 2, how their season went. We'll talk about the Super Bowl matchup, because we now know who plays in the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And I have a few things to say about both teams, I think. We'll also recap the season picks that we've had, and we go over how predictable each team was. Now, we only did it for the regular season. I think that once the playoffs are over, we can maybe insert the postseason picks a little bit, maybe to see if we adjusted it all during the postseason for the remaining other 12 teams. We'll see what happens though with that. And then after that, you have we'll talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl. I mean, nothing exciting and nothing expected at all with that. We'll talk head coaching news from Tennessee, Arizona, and New York. And of course, there's been news today about the XFL, and we'll talk all about that. But we'll first begin with the conference championship. And what was your ultimate feeling coming out of conference championship Sunday? Go Cubs.
It was there was one game of damn, and there was one game was where the fuck has that been?
There was one game of damn, and there was another game like damn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that was pretty much that. Yeah, that was pretty much my emotions during that conference champion Sunday. Was kind of rough for me. We talked about we talked last week about what I felt like was ranking the four potential Super Bowl matchups. And I think we got the worst one of them all, so it's good.
Yeah,
it really ended up being like that. But I'm a little more optimistic than I think I was last week, especially after what happened on Sunday. Let's talk about it. We'll start with Jaguars at Patriots, a game that no one expected to happen. Everyone thought that Pittsburgh would be there. Instead, Jacksonville comes out of nowhere and tries to steal the show. And they do, to start out with. In terms of the first quarter, they go out to an early lead, at one point leading 14-3. But penalties kind of got to them at the end of the first half, and the Patriots were able to get the ball, drive it down the field, and it was up 14-10 from there. then the Jags tried to kind of build a lead away from the Patriots at that point. They got to 20. It was 2010. And then the expected happens. To me, whenever this happens, whenever the Patriots are down in the game, I always, in my mind, I'm like, it's going to end with a Patriots victory because that's the inevitable. And guess what? It was the inevitable. Even
Look,
after a fumble,
I,
go ahead.
I tried to stay optimistic, and
I,
I was until the
I respect the hell out of
I
that.
was optimistic up until the final Jaguars drive.
Yeah. Which was really, I mean, that was really their last chance anyway. So I mean, you were,
Yeah, well, it could have
yeah,
happened.
yeah, it very
Like
well could. We'll talk about
that
that
was the
too.
thing. It wasn't hopeless. The last time the Jaguars had the ball.
No, for sure. And what we had after that was essentially at one point, I think it was when it was still 2010 that Dion Lewis fumbled the ball, Miles Jack picked it up, and the Jags had a chance to march down the field to really put some distance between them and the Patriots. Did not happen though. They stalled, 3-and-out. They were able to just get right. The Patriots were able to get the ball right back. Score went to 2017, and then it became 24-20 Patriots. And the final drive of the game, it was a little bit of a struggle. It wasn't. It was a really perfectly executed game by Jacksonville to that point, outside of the penalties. But then the offense that was really hitting on a lot of cylinders, just kind of fell apart at the end. And the last play, the fourth down play, almost was reminiscent of the two miraculous Giants catches that they had in the Super Bowl. And D.D. Westbrook almost hauled in the pass while getting out of bounds, but Stephon Gilmore, the free agent signing from Buffalo, just batted that ball away, made a great play, and the Patriots, after running the ball a few more times, ended up clinching the AFC title for yet another year, in their seventh straight conference championship appearance. They are 4-3 in the last 7 years that they've been in it. So now, of course, a winning record in that mix. But hey, I mean, I guess they did lose 3 other times, so
Yeah,
you gotta take what you could get, right?
right.
But it was really it really sucks that you had that. At least I had this mentality going into the game after the Jags took the lead. I just never trusted it. For the life of me, I can never trust any lead that any team has against the Patriots, because the amount of times that the Patriots have ever come back in any situation, like they always come back in every single situation that you put them in. It doesn't matter if you're 3, 4, even 5 scores up.
Unless you're the Dolphins playing in Miami.
Right. I mean, that's like the only situation, and I don't even know. I still don't even know what happened that night. That was a fever dream. But
I was playing Minecraft while that was happening, so yes, it was a fever dream.
yeah, it really was. That is a fever dream. Yeah. Look, I don't know what to even say about this game. It was just kind of one of those things where it fell apart. And really interesting insight from someone on Twitter, a football analyst, who kind of broke down the final quarter or so, for the Jaguars in their offensive scheming. They were being really repetitive with their gameplay, like when they're calling plays.
Yeah.
They always called a run first, and then like they always, did like a play action on the second call or whatever. They started doing very, very predictable play calling, and you cannot do that against the best team ever. Like you can't do that against the dynasty, and it's just it screwed them over at the end.
Yeah.
And it got the word of the night, and the evening predictable. So it's just that's what kind of screwed the Jags over overall. But I know you, Go Cubs. You rode with this Jags team. You are one of the only people that I know of that really felt like the Jags had a chance to win the division. I don't think you thought that this was going to go as far as they
No, no,
did.
I never thought that they would
I,
be competitive in the AFC Championship.
right. What
I
is
still wouldn't have believed it if they had won the game.
right? Yeah, there's no question. What do you feel is the future of this franchise right now?
The future of this franchise is they're going to uh, probably keep Bortles as a backup quarterback, get someone maybe more experienced, like maybe Eli Manning or Alex Smith, um, and get a couple good wide receivers and make another deep playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Allen Robinson, he went down with an injury early on in the
Yeah,
season. I would be very surprised if they don't bring him back. He's had quite a few great years there, and he was sorely missed. I felt
oh, for
like
sure.
during the season, so I would like to see
They
him.
also need a good tight end.
They need a good tight end. I mean, Mercedes Lewis, he did great this year.
He did. He did.
He's had a great career there with Jacksonville. But you're right, absolutely, they need another weapon there. Um, and I think that you're going to see a lot of defensive players that are they're going to get some big money for them because they
Oh,
played
for
out of their
sure.
mind this year. And right, I mean, I don't think Eli Manning is going to be an option because I think the Giants are going to keep Eli after everything that was said and done. Um, and so now I think you could get Alex Smith or you could get Kirk Cousins. I mean, you got those are the two. I think
True.
the big quarterback names that are out there that at least in free agency, unless the Jags want to trade all the way up for a new quarterback, which I would be very surprised about. But I mean, I guess if they feel like they're completely done with Bortles, that's what they will do. If they still have some hope they can save Bortles, then I think that they're going to pursue a veteran. I think that's what they're going to end up doing because there is times where Bortles just had terrible games and terrible stretches during games, but there has been times where he showed what he can do. But even he has said himself that he is not a natural thrower of the football, and that's a
Yeah.
concern. So, you have to see like how much you trust him going forward is going to
Mhm.
be the big question. Um, but
I don't know if I don't know if I trust him enough. I fucking love Bortles. He is the memeiest quarterback who ever made it to an AFC Championship game.
yeah,
Uh, it's amazing. He represents what the Jaguars are.
I would agree with
Absolute mediocrity. But
that.
there's something there's something there which like I saw at the start of the in the team at the start of last year.
Right.
Uh, and yeah,
I
I don't know. I was pulling something out of my ass when I said that back in April, but
well, I mean,
I'm glad to be right, and I'm glad that the Jaguars proved that they weren't entirely a meme team this year.
they
That
weren't.
they had that they had worth to them, and that they can
Yeah,
have worth in the future. AFC South is going to be really fun next year. I fucking hope.
I hope too. It's been quite the ride with the AFC South because even though you had two teams make it, you didn't really feel it. You had two teams dealing with quarterback injuries and another one that just kind of sucked and was there,
Uh,
but still got into the playoffs because
Somehow,
whatever.
because fuck
Um,
Logic,
but
fuck the AFC.
the Jags, they were one of the biggest surprises of the year to say that they were one of the final four teams left standing in the NFL. Is remarkable, and it's great to see that from a team that has been perennial losers for some time.
Yeah,
Um, you gotta hand it to them for the effort and for being there. I think uh, people attribute it to Coughlin being there as the executive. People attribute it to obviously a great head coach, Doug Marrone. What they did, they're gonna have to make adjustments on offense. That's gonna be their biggest thing, but they really brought the heat during the season, and hopefully they can continue that into next season as well.
yeah,
So that's that, and the Patriots on to their 10th Super Bowl uh, ever in franchise history. Their eighth under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. He has actually been the two of them have been in the Super Bowl as a head coach, quarterback duo for half of Brady's career.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a fun little detail. So, or at least half of the seasons that he was a starter.
Yeah.
So like he's been a starter for 16 seasons now, and 8 of them he spent in the Super Bowl. So there you go. We'll get to that, but first, the NFC Championship game. Game that many thought would be the ticket game. If you kind of swapped the scores between these two games, you figure, all right, that makes sense. Patriots blowing out the Jags, and a really
Yeah.
tightly contested game between the Vikings and Eagles. Not really.
No.
Eagles. Well, first of all, the game started with a very methodical, nice drive down the field by the Vikings, scoring a touchdown, making it 7-0. But it turns out that's the only school points that the Vikings score all game long, as the Eagles go on a run of a century, running up 38 unanswered points against the Vikings to just completely shut down the miracle in Minnesota Vikings. And it was a great night for Nick Foles, who, after being berarded, including from myself, and as being not a good quarterback, not really ready for the spotlight, probably won't do it for them. Had one of the greatest playoff performances you will ever see in a quarterback, and it wasn't just, he just worked in the system. He threw some deep balls that were beautiful. He threw the short passes that he needed to. It was just an unbelievable effort by him, by the coaching staff. Doug Peterson deserves a ton of credit. This upset Eagles underdog team has really set a narrative of what we talked about last week, the David versus Goliath mentality of this upcoming Super Bowl. Unbelievable. What were your thoughts about this game?
I didn't watch a lot of it. I
Well,
watched like
I didn't watch a lot of it
first,
after it.
I was so emotionally drained after the Patriots game that that I was just like, I need to go lay down. Um,
I understand. I do that all the
yeah,
time. Sometimes when watching games, especially when they don't go
yeah,
my way, I'm just like, oh,
yeah. I
I gotta
was
lay
like,
down.
I was drained. So I missed the Vikings open drive. I was like, oh, okay, the Vikings scored. Let's fucking go, Skull. And then I was like, oh, Eagles scored. And then they kept scoring. And then halfway through, I was like, okay, I'm here with my roommates. This is gonna happen a lot. I'm gonna watch a movie with them.
Yeah, I didn't really watch a ton of the game. I kind of just watched after it got out of hand in like the third quarter. I kind of just moved away and just waited until the NFC Championship ceremony and watched that. Because that's always interesting, especially with Terry Bradshaw hosting it. He's usually a bundle of interesting.
Yeah,
But I I went into this game. I was really cheering on the Vikings in the sense that this is a team that has been desperate to get to the Super Bowl since the '70s. They haven't been there for a while. I've never won a Super Bowl just like the Eagles. And you have this new hero in Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs, lifted into the spotlight after what was a miraculous finish. And it just fell apart when it mattered most, and it really disappointed me because I was just like, this is supposed to be the great team, the great story of the season, and instead we got the Eagles, which are also a very great story, especially after thinking about it for a while. It's a great story, but
yeah,
I really wanted to see the Vikings and fans that have been so tortured over the years by their team to finally get one. It was just really disappointing. But I will say this, the Eagles, they proved me wrong. They proved the world wrong. And I I commend them. I think that they did something that I just did not expect them to do, which was dominate the best defense in the league in the Vikings. I mean, I know that they said the Jaguars are too, but I mean, but they were both great defenses. But the Vikings were also incredible, and they just slaughtered them, just completely and utter, just destroyed a
Eagles
great
turned
Viking team.
into fucking vultures.
They
Picked them off. Picked the pieces off.
absolutely,
They're dead bodies that they already fucking slaughtered. Like,
yeah. It was a
they called them the Mall of America. MAUL.
Son of a bitch.
Have you not seen that?
Oh no, I did not. Oh, that's so good. Oh, I was hoping that just came from you because that was.
No, I'm not that clever, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But that was so good.
I hope last night didn't give you unrealistic expectations about how clever I actually am.
That's fair. But you know what's also remarkable about about this Vikings is that they continue to trend on Sunday. The last 6 teams to win a playoff game with a walk-off touchdown in the playoffs are now a combined 0-6 the very next playoff week.
Holy shit.
Losing by an average of 24 points with a collective minus 11 in turnover margin. That is awful. So, better. I hope you really enjoy those walk-off touchdowns because you're getting your heart broken the next week. Unless it happens in the Super Bowl. I guess, if technically speaking, if you want to count the Patriots with the walk-off touchdown and then their divisional round, then I guess it's 1-6. But
I don't think that counts.
I think you gotta connect the playoff seasons.
I think walk-off touchdown means you score a touchdown and then the clock is 0.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's walk-off touchdown and it's also overtime. Overtime.
Yeah, okay,
if you score
okay.
an overtime touchdown, that's what the Patriots did. But then you also have. You think about the Arizona Cardinals that season, where they had that amazing game against the Packers and then just got blown to smithereens by the Panthers the following week. The season before, you had the Seahawks with their amazing game against the Packers. I think the Packers deliver some great games with certain teams. The Seahawks won that game in overtime and then lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So you have all these great and amazing finishes, but they never end. Or at least in recent years, it hasn't ended in good fashion. So, yeah. What's your idea for the Vikings in 2018?
I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do with quarterback. I honestly don't, because Case Keenum played the hell out of this season. He deserves consideration. And Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater are both still starting quarterback level.
For sure.
When they're fully healthy. So I don't know what's going to happen.
I think that they're going to only keep one because I think all 3 of them are going to be signing, looking for starter money and starter positions. The only way I could see them leaving 2 is that I could see where maybe Teddy is like, you know what, I really like this team. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to play at the level that I did before my injury. I'm going to just stick with this as a backup, and I'll just, I want to win with the Vikings. I want to do it. And we'll just see what happens. But that's the only way. I think Case Keenum is very much should be considered for at least a filler quarterback start.
Look, all I'm saying is that Cleveland exists.
I don't see why not.
Look, Cleveland exists. The New York Jets exist.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, I don't think he's staying around Buffalo.
That's true. The Jets, I feel like, might keep Josh McCown, though. But who knows?
Okay. Yeah. But still, McCown is old.
Right.
He's a great motivator, and he's the reason the Jets won as many games as they did.
Right.
Denver has a situation, quarterback situation. Arizona has a quarterback situation.
It's a lot.
Keenum can get a starting job.
Yeah.
He's
I
not kept with the Vikings.
I think I think if I'm the Vikings right now, I'm signing Case Keenum because I don't.
Yeah,
I think that Sam Bradford he had. It's really interesting because you think about the Vikings in 2015 with Bridgewater, the 2016 Vikings led by Sam Bradford, and the 2017 Vikings led by Case Keenum. It's crazy, but
yeah,
Sam Bradford to me, he had a pretty okay 2016. I think a lot of people felt like his passer rating was so good because he kind of threw a lot of short passes and all that.
uh,
But then week one of this season, he had one of the best games you will ever see out of a quarterback. And then he went down with an injury. And that's the big concern. I don't think you can trust Bradford. So I would think that he might leave and I could see him maybe going to the Giants, I guess. I don't know if they would sign him if they're going to keep Eli, but I could see him going there with Pat Shermer now being the head coach. You could see him going other places for veterans as well. Um, you from there between Case and Teddy, I think you have to go with Case because
you would start Case at least until
yeah.
like Teddy's healthy and maybe like Case starts declining in quality. I don't know.
Well, Bridgewater, it seems that he's healthy now. I mean that's why they've had him active as a backup at least. I think that I don't know if he'll ever recover fully, but I think that he's going to be as healthy as he was at the end of the season as he will be probably at the start. So I don't know. I think that if I could see where though that Mike Zimmer, one thing that you could absolutely tell with him was that he was so freaking committed to get like kicking Case Keenum out of his starting job at some point because
Yeah,
almost every single press conference before games he's just like, well, if we have to put Sam Bradford in, we will do that, or if I have to put Teddy in, we'll do that. He
yeah,
always kept that fire under Case Keenum's ass, and I don't know if that was motivation or if that was just that he did not trust Case, and if that's the case, then I could see him do. I didn't even realize that. Did not even make that connection. God damn it.
I'm glad
Anyways,
I got that little laugh in.
yeah, fair enough. If he if he does not trust Case Keenum, I could totally see him going then with Bridgewater. I don't see this team keeping Bradford. I'd be very surprised if Bradford is the one that they end up selecting. But who
Yeah,
knows? Who knows? It's a fascinating offseason for them in that sense. I don't really think they're going to have much changes overall. I think that there's some people that are feeling like, this might be coming close to the end of the Mike Zimmer era if he decides to retire at some point. I don't think that's going to be the case.
yeah,
There might be some players. I'm like checking free agency and stuff, and I don't really see anyone that is going into free agency that's like significant outside of the quarterbacks. Um, and I would just be very, very surprised if this Vikings team isn't competing again in
uh,
2018. I think they might have less of a shot of competing than the Jaguars, which again I don't know. I never expected that kind of statement, but I still like I think that they have a really good shot still. So
yeah.
who knows? But this might have been their best shot too. We
Right.
won't really know. Um, but I feel for Vikings. I feel for the Vikings fans, and better luck next year. That's at the end of the day. That's the motto. Um,
There's also if Washington doesn't keep Cousins, that's an opening.
that's an opening for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's. I mean, I think
Keenum,
that's. Yeah,
Keenum and Bradford are both going to have jobs next year.
yeah. I agree
Yeah,
with that. I'll make the bold prediction right now. We're gonna give our 2018 bold predictions at the after the Super Bowl, but I think one of my predictions would be I think all three of them will have starting positions.
Oh, okay.
That's my bold prediction. I think every single Vikings quarterback, or at least the three of them, is going to have a starting job in the NFL next year. And yeah, Kirk Cousins. I mean, cause yeah, like who would you want, Kirk Cousins or Case Keenum leading your team? I would want to go with Kirk Cousins because I think he's more reliable at the moment.
Yeah,
So I think that that's something that the Vikings have to consider too. So yeah, very fascinating going forward. Um, so that's that. That's the Jags Vikings. Put them asleep. They're hibernating for the 2018 off season. It's now time for the Eagles and Patriots to get their spotlight. They are in the Super Bowl, facing off against each other for the second time ever. They are the last time these two teams played. It was Patriots beating the Eagles 24-21. That was a game where the Patriots got out to a quick lead for the most part, and the Eagles spent the rest of the game coming back. Never ended up doing so. Nick Foles is trying to win a Super Bowl as a backup, quarterback. And that if he does it, it'll be the first time since Tom Brady did it back in 2001 when Drew Bledsoe went down and changed a franchise forever. Now, of course, another story of this offseason, or not the offseason, of the regular season, was that both teams lost key starters. So you had Edelman go down with New England. That was a significant one. Then you had the Eagles, who had a plethora of them. You had Carson Wentz, you had Jason Peters, you had Darren Sproles as well injured. You had a few defensive players go down. So both teams have had to kind of overcome that adversity to get to where they are. Many people thought that once Edelman went down, they felt. I don't think anyone thought that the Patriots weren't going to win the Super Bowl. But I think the idea of 16-0 went out the window at that point without Edelman.
Yeah,
which
also went out the window on Thursday.
Well, on that first Thursday.
First Thursday.
Yeah. So it happens sometimes. Yeah, and the Eagles, once Carson Wentz goes down, everyone's like, all right, well, pack it in. That's the season. Well, they're still going strong going into the Super Bowl. Chris Long and LeGarrette Blount, they are part of the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, but they were part of the 2016 New England Patriots. So they'll get a chance to win back-to-back Super Bowl titles, but with different teams. First time, I believe that would happen since Deion Sanders did it when he was with the Niners and then with the Cowboys in back-to-back years. This is maybe a little underrated storyline because I don't think anyone really cares other than me. But Stephon Gilmore, as I said earlier, signed from Buffalo. And Ronald, Stephon Gilmore is part of the Patriots, and Ronald Darby, who's a Philadelphia Eagles cornerback, they were the 2016 quarterback duo for the Buffalo Bills, and Gilmore went in free agency, and Darby was traded during those crazy trades when Watkins was also traded and all that. And so Gilmore and Darby will face each other in the Super Bowl after being teammates as well. So that I felt like that was interesting. And the Bills are not there, which is even makes it even a little bit more interesting in that sense. And then of course the last so like in the New England era, they have not lost a lot, as we all know,
right?
But they had a kind of rough first season, New England, in 2000. That was before Brady ended up taking over and all that, but under Belichick's regime, of course, in 2000. And one of those teams to beat the Patriots was the Browns, quarterbacked by Doug Peterson.
Oh.
So Browns quarterback Doug Peterson has beat the New England Patriots before. There you go. And now he's a head coach. Last time that these two teams played each other at all was back in 2015. It was a week after Brock Osweiler beat the Patriots in that walk-off game in Denver. The Eagles upset the Patriots 35-28 to have Patriots go back-to-back losses. We talked about that a little earlier in the season about going back-to-back losses before. And, of course, one of the storylines you're going to hear a lot about is Gronk dealing with a concussion as well, because that happened during the Patriots-Jaguars game. A lot of debate about whether that was a clean hit or not, and whatever that may be, he's still dealing with a concussion, and that's going to be a storyline. And of course, what is a Patriots Super Bowl without more talk about the Bill Belichick Tom Brady legacy? They're going to try to extend their championships obviously to 6 under the duo. Brady's going to become the oldest non-kicker to play in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So that's going to be significant.
Impressive.
And they're hoping they're gonna tie. The Patriots are hoping to tie with the Steelers for holding the most Super Bowl championships in NFL history. Probably will be looking for a seventh after that to break that record as well. So that's that. It kind of skews me to say all that. I got one more thing for you. And I found this really fascinating, but I can't take any credit for it. And I have to refresh because my computer is lagging, but I need to make sure I have the document up. But a guy by the name of Adam Lefko, he is, I believe, a podcaster. He does a podcast with Chris Sims, I believe. And they are on Bleacher Report. And he pointed out the uncanny comparisons between the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles and the 1990 New York Giants. So I want you to listen closely to this. This is the 1990 New York Giants. They had a quarterback who was drafted in the top 10 from a small school who was injured near the end of the regular season. That was Phil Simms. So they then turned to a backup quarterback, a former third-round pick who contemplated retirement prior to signing with the team, Jeff Hollister. In the playoffs, they blew out an NFC North team, the Bears, and went on to beat the NFC champion by scoring 15 points against the Niners. They were an underdog that faced an AFC East team that played in 4 Super Bowls that decade, who was the Bills. Now the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles. They had a quarterback drafted in the top 10 from a small school injured near the end of the regular season, Carson Wentz. Turned to a backup quarterback, a former third-round pick who contemplated retirement, Nick Foles. In the playoffs, they blew out an NFC North team, Vikings, and went on to beat the NFC champion by scoring 15 points, the Falcons. They were an underdog that faced an AFC East team that played in 4 Super Bowls that decade, the Patriots. How about that?
That makes me uneasy.
How is that for a fucked up comparison? How eerie is that?
That's really fucking weird, Chris.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Another comparison he made, and I didn't really get this one, but he kind of was saying how the kicker in that game, that Super Bowl the Giants played in, they beat the Bills and as underdogs, and they won by the Bills kicker kicking the ball far right, and that ended up sealing the game. His name is Scott Norwood, and he graduated from James Madison University.
Okay.
Stephen Gostkowski went to a high school that had Madison in the title. I forget how it went, but but that was something that he pointed out too. I didn't that one. I was just like, okay, that's a bit more of a stretch than the rest of it. But I mean, do you not like sports?
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained by that? Good on Adam Lefko, because that was incredible that he was able just to break that down. I thought that was incredible, and if history wants to repeat itself, please do. The Eagles will beat the Patriots, but we'll see about that. Let's talk about the Patriots actually.
Okay.
What's your opinion about the
Patriots? A rant. I'm here to listen to a rant.
What's your opinion about the Patriots being back in the Super Bowl?
Look, that's just how they are.
It's their identity.
Yeah, like what's the best way I can explain this? They do what they do better than anyone else, obviously.
For sure.
And it's clearly frustrating for a lot of people because they're like, why can't other teams do well? And I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
It Thank you, Windows, for telling me that there's a virus that I don't have a virus. That's really useful. Thank you.
It's like
Yeah. Uh, so I get that the Patriots have that.
yeah,
Uh, I can't really do anything uh, to like argue with it just
yeah.
because they're so good.
No, for sure. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I don't think you can argue it.
right.
I think I mean I can rant and rave all I want, but they're in it, and I think that that's what's so incredible about them is that how in and I think someone put it well in a league built off of parity and socialism that the Patriots that have been able to be that someone of course is Chris Wrestling. I don't want to give them credit.
Yeah,
Um, the fact that they have been able to do that is incredible. And I don't want to take anything away from them in that sense. I find the people who want to say, oh, they're cheaters or the refs rigged it for them or all that, give me a fucking break.
yeah,
I just don't, because you're making it, you're trying to justify their greatness. You can't justify what they've done. They
yeah.
are an incredible team. They are an amazing team, and we may never, ever, ever see something like this ever again.
I doubt it in any sport.
Right, and
Yeah,
it
I
is.
wish the only thing I wish is that I wish that Brady and Belichick were better people
Well, yeah. I
to
mean, well, you can make that argument too.
get that kind of to like deserve that kind of this kind of acclaim. I don't know.
Right. No, I
Yeah,
get that too. But I still respect the hell out of them,
yeah,
and I am. I think that you can say though that they are the greatest dynasty in all sports, hands down. But I think you can also say it is painfully predictable that
yeah.
they've been as dominant as they have, and that's where my frustrations come in. Because I say here, we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, I love Team Chaos, and yet we do a prediction show. And I like having a good prediction record. But yeah, I love Team Chaos, so it's like, what the fuck do I want?
Yeah.
If I had to pick anything, I love Team Chaos more than anything, and I don't care how wrong I am with my predictions. I use it as a way to kind of measure how much I know shit. I
Yeah.
with football, but I think finding out that no one knows shit when Team Chaos occurs, it's the best feeling in the world because it's just like, all right, we're all idiots together. But
Yeah.
it's amazing to me because it's like the Patriots. Again, they're so good, but it's almost as if they are looking on from the outside. You have a dome almost that the other 31 teams are in, and they have to like fight for survival, and a bunch of crazy shit happens in that dome, like all this unexpected shit that you don't know what the hell's happening. It's the greatest thing that you could ever witness, and the out comes crawling out of all of that is whatever it is, a falcon or an eagle or a seahawk. It's weird that all four of them have been birds.
They're all birds.
Yeah, but it's true, and that's been the case the last few years.
Or
But
or Panther.
or Panther. Well, that
Sadly.
was Panther
That was against
Bronco.
Broncos. I know.
But they come out and they're crawling. They're so beat up, and then all the Patriots have to do kick them, and it's done, and this is win the Super Bowl. Like, the Patriots don't participate in the chaos. They just are able to just take care of business every single time, and they're the ultimate enemy for what chaos is. And that's what's so freaking frustrating to watch about this team. And I want more than anything. I don't want to sit here and listen to people say like, oh, how can you dislike the Patriots dynasty? How can you hate it so much? Why are you such a hater?
You know why? Because the Patriots ignore chaos.
Right, exactly. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's the case. It's the fact that you have a league that is the NFL is among one of the most unpredictable sports out there, and yet you
Yeah.
have a predictable ending happen. And when that predictable ending happens, as great as it has been this year, I love this season. I will hold to that. That has been my favorite season to this point. If the Patriots win it, it dilutes a little bit. They give it like I'm going to use a reference to let's say Survivor.
Okay.
You have a season where it's a fun, chaotic season where you like there's plot twists and amazing moves and all that. But a really shitty person gets to the end, and you just don't want to see that bad person win it. And even though they deserve it, you're like, I just don't like this person. I don't want to see them win, and that
Yeah.
dilutes the Survivor season because you're just kind of like, I don't like this person. I don't want this. Like, if I had to pick a team to be the face of this 2017 NFL season, it would be the Eagles. Because this is a team that started out so strongly. Not a lot of people thought they would be as dominant as they were. I thought that they could win the NFC East. I didn't think that they could make a Super Bowl run at all. But they all of a sudden they're riding high, and then they lose Carson Wentz, and that completely, like, you think it's done. It's over. We saw
Yeah.
this last year with the Raiders. The minute you lose that quarterback, it's over. And they go into the next few weeks, they face the Giants, and all of a sudden the defense comes apart, and Eli Manning's throwing touchdowns left and right. You're like, what the fuck is happening here? But the Eagles pull out the victory at least. They go against
Yeah.
the Raiders, and it's just an ugly game. Nick Foles is not playing well. They win in a nice defensive battle, and that's that. Then they have the Cowboys. They rest their starters or whatever. The Cowboys end up winning that. Then you get to divisional round when you have to face the Falcons, and everyone's saying that you have no shot. You have no shot. You have Nick Foles at the quarterback. Meanwhile, you have this high-flying Falcons team with a rising defense. You can't shut down Julio Jones. You can't stop Matt Ryan from making plays. And guess what? They did it. They beat them. You got the next week. Everyone's like, yeah, the Vikings are going to take care of business. The Vikings are going to be able to they're going to just be able to take down Nick Foles. They're going to be able to get through an Eagles defense that's not as good as the Vikings defense, and they get slaughtered. The Vikings get absolutely slaughtered, and the Eagles rise out from the top. And even though in the past few weeks I've been rooting against them, I completely have forgotten that they are essentially Team Chaos. They are a team that, despite everyone saying that they're going to suck a whole lot of ass, they end up sucking victory out of the veins of their opponents. And it's amazing to me, and I hope and I pray that when Super Bowl Sunday comes and goes, that we'll be saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly." On the road to victory, because that is perfect. That would be a perfect ending. But my gut is telling me right now that we're gonna get a predictable ending. I don't want to see that happen. Let's make this as chaotic of a finish as possible. And that's my rant.
Okay.
I I'm just I'm so I will say this too. The Patriots fans, I've learned to just accept your joy and accept how much you love the Patriots, and trust me, if it was any of my teams, I'm sure I'd love it too. But who I really hear are the people, the analysts who are just being like, I don't get why so many people hate the Patriots. It's just they're a fun team to watch. Yeah, but we've seen the show over and over again. All right, at some point you get sick of watching the same exact thing over and over again. It's time to move on. It's time to move on to a new show. Takes place. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Let's go. Let's do that.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
That's always a very ironic theme song, and I really appreciate
Da,
that.
da, 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 da. Fly, eagles, fly.
Oh man. Well, I will say, and I hope you do this with me, Go Cubs, that if let's say the Eagles do end up winning on Super Sunday, I say that we do just break out into the entire chant
Oh,
during
let's do
the
it. Let's do
podcast.
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if it happens, that we will do that.
I'll
Um,
send that. I'll send that link to my. I have a friend who's a huge Eagles fan. So
yeah, yeah. I I mean, look, and again, if the Pats pull it off, good for them. It's just I just would like to see something new.
look,
That's all.
the only upside, and I even like this is a fucking long shot. The only upside if the Pats actually end up winning is that Brady might finally go. You know what? I'm the oldest player to ever play in and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
It's not a kick. Maybe I should retire.
yeah,
Go out
yeah.
on top.
I think that you could have
I
that.
made a Super Bowl half of my NFL seasons.
Well, that's a good argument though. I mean, even if let's say the Brady Belichick ends up staying, they are losing Josh McDaniels. They're losing Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Those are two staples because they're the ones calling plays. Bill Belichick doesn't call plays. He manages it, but he does.
Yeah.
He's not the one calling plays. You losing those two is going to be huge going forward for the Patriots. So it's going to be bittersweet for them that Super Bowl victory because it will be probably the last one with those two coordinators. But yes, I mean, for all we know, the ESPN story might be true. You might see Belichick go out. So I don't know. You don't know until the offseason happens. Usually you get some surprises, and that would be big. That would be big if any of those things happened. All right, so let's move forward here. We decided in our off time we were actually gonna record the podcast yesterday, but we spent so much time trying to do this that we ended up having to push it off for another 24 hours. But we were as anyone who has followed this podcast, the football podcast at least to this point, I like going back and seeing how predictable or unpredictable teams are, and for each of us. And so what we did is that we went through every single game and every single prediction and tallied it all up, seeing how we all did, and we got some pretty interesting results, including an undefeated prediction as well. Why
Yes.
don't you share at least the key details from your predictions, Go Cubs, first?
Okay, so my predictions were pretty middle of the road, I would say, with a few outliers. Actually, a few outliers like leaning on the positive side that helped boost my prediction up. I think I was in like, what was my final record again?
You're at 160 wins in the regular season. So yeah, by the way, this is regular season as we mentioned earlier.
Yes. How many losses?
Shit, hold on. 102.
Okay.
Or well, actually, wait, subtract 6 from that. That's 96. You're at 96. We were at 160, 96 at the end of the regular season.
Okay. 1 second. Okay.
You got some calculations going on here.
So I got 62% of my picks right.
Yeah.
Which, for my first time ever doing this, I will gladly take.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. 160. Yeah, 160 is a lot of numbers.
It is. That's a lot of games. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of games that I predicted right. So I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. No
I had just kind of real quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 out of 32 teams I predicted over 500.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that makes sense with the record, but
right. Well, yeah, you got Yeah, I think you did really well with your first season, and I
Yeah,
think you caught
the
on to a lot of it. Going, it was
I
good.
think a couple of my stranger records. One of them was the Bears because I was predicting them too hard. I was expecting them to do better than they did,
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. But what are you going to do? We'll be better next year. The other one was Pittsburgh. I guessed against them really often.
yeah,
I should not have done that.
yeah. So
Uh,
what were your records for the Bears and the Steelers?
my Bears was 8-8. Steelers was 9-7.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so not that great.
We're right. Well, I mean, the Steelers were that was like one of those teams that you kind of picked against a lot, and there's times where you're, yeah, because I mean, clearly you picked against them quite a few times, and then all of a sudden, you pick them to beat the Patriots, and
Right.
that didn't work out.
Never never root for the Steelers. I hate the Steelers. I went
Yeah,
on this rant last week. They have the talent. They don't have the postseason wins to back that talent up.
yeah,
They're frustrating to watch.
for sure.
And the second you get happy and comfortable with them,
It falls
they
apart.
just they just disappoint you.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I,
All right.
I, 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 I
And rant.
yeah, no, I understand that. Much shorter and less dragging on as I did. Uh, uh, but I think I thought it was pretty good. What was your predictable team?
My most predictable team was the Cleveland Browns.
What was that record?
16-0 because I fucking predicted against them every single game this season because it was really easy to.
It was really easy to. I ended up in comparison 14-2 because I had hope twice, once against the Colts and once against the Bears.
I don't
But
know if you exactly had hope against the Bears. I think you just wanted to
oh, I just wanted to
see
be a
shit hit the
dick.
fan.
I wanted to be a dick, really. Uh,
You also just wanted my reaction.
yeah, I did. I
You
really
wanted my
did.
reaction on recording so bad.
I really really did actually. But you know what though? It's like it's like the Bears were like the last chance. I was just like maybe this could work out and they
And then
could finally
Mitch
get the win.
Trubisky had a Tom Brady-esque game.
Yeah, good game. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, but 16-0. I mean, yes, picking against the Browns is really easy, but 16-0 is usually is tough to achieve. You find
Yeah,
you think that at some point you'd have some optimism for the Browns, and it never happened, and you are
you don't
correct.
know me apparently.
Yeah, no, but you were absolutely correct and spot on. So there you go. It worked out for you 16-0. And then what
My
was your
most unpredictable teams
yeah?
was Arizona and Detroit, both of which ended up 6-10.
Which I wonder why that was.
I
Wh-
think I had too much faith in both of them,
Mm.
uh, or I had not enough faith in the Lions a couple times.
Yeah, the Lions were a tough team to track because they started out really hot for the most
Yeah,
part. Like they had a pretty good start to the year, but then they kind of like fell off. But then they had like a late season like little thing happen, and then they lost to the Bengals, and that completely fell apart for them. So it was like
yeah,
I don't even know what you can even say at that point. But the Lions, yeah, that was the Lions, and then yeah, the Cardinals. But the Cardinals were just tough because you didn't know how bad this team was going to fall apart without Carson Palmer, and they did, but not as bad either, though, because it was or
right.
without Carson Palmer and David Johnson rather. Um, but they didn't because there was times where you had Blaine Gabbert play well, you had Drew Stanton play well, and then really the defense. The Cardinals' defense was really what got them wins
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
and they have a defensive coordinator who's not Panthers defensive coordinator is now their head coach. So like their defense is going to be fucking stacked.
Yeah, you're yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that too in a little bit. Um, yeah, we'll get into the some of the other divisional details because at Gocubs right before we started decided to break it down by division, which I liked a
Yep.
lot. I like the
All right.
ambition.
Tell
Um,
us about tell us about your
the
some standouts for you.
yeah. I think I don't know. Like I think the best I did. In terms of predicting, I guess my most predictable teams were the Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles, both 14-2. I was very surprised about the Eagles.
Yeah.
I guess because I just had optimism with the Eagles. Um, but I was not expecting them to have as solid of a year as they did, and I think, or rather, I guess I was expecting them to have a good season after a while, because then they ended up rolling, and felt like a team that was just destined to just never lose again for the most part. And then I think the two losses that I think I ended up having with the Eagles, I think that they lost to the Seahawks. I know that was one incorrect
Yeah.
pick. I forget what the other one was, though. I forget what was the other pick that I screwed up on. I'm gonna
Maybe it
have to
was
go back.
Chiefs. Eagles Chiefs.
No, I predicted the.
Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I predicted T
Oh.
Chiefs. I'll look at that right now. I But then, yeah, the most unpredictable team, and this was I was a little surprised about this one, was the Seattle Seahawks. I did not feel like that was an unpredictable team this year, but my assumption is that they just weren't as good as I thought they were, and they weren't. They weren't that amazing. They almost made the playoffs, and they fell short. Um, but like in comparison for Seattle, I went 6-10. You went 9-7. So like you had a pretty decent time predicting the Seahawks, and I don't know. I guess it just fell apart. Yeah, it wasn't Eagles Chiefs that I got wrong. I don't I don't think it was a late season pick either that I got incorrect. I really have to think about uh the Eagles one.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, though, there's it was the Panthers Eagles.
Oh.
I picked the
Oh
Panthers.
yeah.
Yeah, well, because the Panthers were also hot at the time.
Right.
So that's yeah, I think that's why I ended up picking them. But yeah,
What do you mean at the time? No, I'm kidding.
well, sorry. Keep pounding.
There you go.
But
That's
I don't know. I think that there was times where like when where I thought like, oh yeah, this team is probably gonna be not good for me. It ended up being a little bit better. Like Tampa Bay, I had a lot of high expectations for, and I thought that I was gonna screw that one up. I ended
yeah.
up doing 12-4 with their picks. So I guess I just adjusted there. 10-6 for Titans too. Like I was not. I thought I was gonna be worse than that. Other like losing record ones for me, like the Seahawks, like I said, were 6-10. I had 3-7-9 teams. It was Carolina was one. That I did pretty poorly with. Jacksonville, yeah, I always thought that was gonna be the most unpredictable team. I was shocked
Yeah.
that was not the unpredictable team, considering how that season started and how I don't think we got a single pick right from them until Rams Jaguars. Then we got on a little bit of a roll.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City for me too, 7-9. I did not. It was not a good. They were a weird team because they started out 5-0 and then dropped off completely, and then they kind of
Right.
got back into it. So I thought all that's pretty interesting. Other than that, pretty much the same in terms of winning record. You know, like most of them were winning records. I'm doing the counting right now to see how I did. Uh, I think I got like 26 or 27 winning records around there. I kind of lost count for a second there. But yeah, but hey, I mean, I think we both did really well this year. I think as long as you kind of could keep with the expert picks and all that in that range, I think that's it shows that you at least know something about sports ball, and that's what matters. Talk to me about the division breakdown.
Okay. So, this is just like in terms of if we got the better prediction than the other person, so like for example, Chris Chris's Cardinals record was 10-6. Mine was 6-10. He gets a point for that. I get a point if mine's better. For example, for Buffalo, I was 10-6. He was 7-9.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. So NFC West, Chris won 3-1, winning Arizona, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, where I won Seattle. NFC South was 2-1-1. Chris won Atlanta, Carolina. No, Chris won Atlanta and New Orleans. I won Carolina, and we tied on Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
NFC North, Chris fucking swept 4-0'd me.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a tough division, I think.
Yeah.
For you with the Detroit.
Oh,
and
it certainly was.
Green
It definitely
Bay,
was.
Chicago. Yeah.
Minnesota was my only one above 500 in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. NFC East, Chris also won. He got Dallas and Philly right. I got Washington right, and we tied on the Giants.
Mm.
For the AFC West, I was 3-1. Haha, Illinois. I got Kansas City, the Sparky Boys, the Chargers, and Oakland right. Where Chris got Denver right.
Yeah.
Or Denver right more. AFC South, I got two teams right. I got Houston and Indy. I won, and then we tied Jacksonville and Tennessee. So Chris didn't get any points from that one.
Yeah.
AFC North, we tied 2-2. Chris got Baltimore and Pittsburgh, where I got Cincinnati and shit stain the city. And then AFC East, Chris won 2-1-1. He got New England and Miami. We tied on the Jets, and I got Buffalo. So overall, the NFC record, like just overall NFC, Chris had 11 wins. I had 2 wins, and we tied 3 times. On the AFC, I had 9 wins. Chris had 4, and we tied 3 times.
Yeah, so it was bad. I won the NFC Championship. You got the AFC Championship, and we're gonna battle it out for Super Bowl 52. And we also have, we also had like the margins of victory written down for the chart. I think mine, I had 4 above for Arizona, Detroit for you, and I think you topped me with I think 3-point margin against Seattle and Oakland as well.
Yes.
Even though I had 10-6, you went 13-3. That was a solid team for you to predict.
Oh yeah.
So
I knew when they would be good somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. Oh, in Pittsburgh as well for me. That was originally +5, but then we had an error thing.
And then I fucked up.
Yeah, it's okay. We got figured it out. But yeah. So I'm very happy with it overall. I'm happy that we did. I mean, I'm happy that we did this to kind of keep track of it. We need to keep it, to see how much it changes year to year if we keep on doing this.
Yeah.
I think that's it's really cool to kind of look back and just be like, how much did I know a team? And clearly I need to study up on my Seattle Seahawks. Gotta work on that a little bit. Lift some green and blue weights.
Did you know that?
Pun there.
Did you know that Seattle used to have a basketball team called the Seattle Sonics, but then they moved to Oklahoma City for some fucking reason?
Yeah, the Supersonics went to Oklahoma City became the Oklahoma City Thunder, and now they're gonna get a hockey team. Apparently, Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Soon, I don't know. That's been in the works too.
All right. There's nothing. That's the only thing in Oklahoma. So like.
Yeah, I don't really know why they moved down there. I would be curious to read up on that. I'm a newer sports fan, so I don't really know too much about that stuff. But
that's not important.
Yeah, no, it's not really. All right, what's next on our friggin' agenda? We have a long show. Oh, Pro Bowl. That's right. That's why the whole fucking show is here. That's why.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the fuck we want to talk about here. Derek Carr got selected. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe it was Who else is in the AFC? So it was Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, and
Well, Tom
uh,
Brady was an alternate. Tom Brady was selected, but
was selected. But
he's not in it now. So
yeah,
so
who was the third one who was voted for though?
um I'm not too sure actually. I think it might have been Philip Rivers, but
No, it was Rivers. It was.
yeah. So basically, I have the original list up. I have the one that's been updated to who's actually participating now in the Pro
Okay.
Bowl. And you have a lot of people who have been either injured, really injured, injured, quote unquote injured for the Pro Bowl. And you also had people um, that were in the Super Bowl, obviously, so they're not going to be participating at all. So yeah, that's how you get a guy like Derek Carr in Oakland, or in the Pro Bowl rather. Um, and I don't know, no, Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr, but he did not really have a great year, and so him being in it is kind of laughable, just a tad. Um, Also, Joe Shorbert was an alternate who got in as a Pro Bowler. He is
Oh,
this single Cleveland Brown to get in.
hey, there's a
Me,
Brown in the Pro Bowl, but not a Bear.
not a Bear or a Jet. So when you're a Jet or a Bear, you suck ass. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Jordan Howard didn't get an NFC running back bid, but then at the same time, I don't know, Todd Gurley, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. That's a hard group to kind of knock off at least.
Well, yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about the rosters themselves. Harrison Smith, I think he was a snub that I forgot about when we were kind of going over the Pro Bowl roster initially a few months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever it was. He ended up getting it as an alternate, but that many people are very pissed off that it was an initial. Um, yeah, a lot of defensive AFC players from the Jaguars, of course.
Right.
So you got AJ Boye, Jalen Ramsey, yeah, Yannick Ngakwe in there as well. Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell was also selected, but he's, I think, sitting out because he's injured. Um,
Mm.
so that's that. Pretty yeah. I mean I think this I think the Pro Bowl rightfully gets some shit. But I think you have a group at least that has you have a Pro Bowl. You have the initial 88 Pro Bowl players, and you're also recognizing 53 or so others that that are that deserve a chance to be in the spotlight, even though they were initially selected. They all deserve praise for seasons like this, except maybe Derek Carr. I still don't understand that, but again, that's fine. That's fine. We'll look over it. It's lack of hindsight. Blake Bortles deserved it more. Okay, anyways, so yeah, we're about 20 minutes away in this podcast wise before the actual thing begins. The Pro Bowl begins. Our Pro Bowl Skills Showdown rather begins. Um, and how much did you enjoy that, Gocubs?
The skill showdown from last year.
Yeah.
Well, it was an interesting scenario where and when I was watching it. I'll tell you more about that after the podcast. Uh, but it was in a hotel room in Peoria, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just like, you know what? This is rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun to watch, and I want to watch more of it forever.
It was the most fun that a Pro Bowl style event has been in a while. Like it's very hard for me to get. When I first got into football, I think I was kind of excited about it, but now I'm just kind of I've come back down to earth with it. I'm just kind of like
Yeah.
it's really not a great game. It's all right. Um, I think that what's I think the Skill Showdown by far was more exciting, and I think that they should consider doing this, expanding on the Pro Bowl Skill Showdown, making it going from an hour long to about 3 hours long. Um, you know, that gives you more time for setup. That gives you a chance to actually show it live.
Yeah.
Because they don't show it live in its current iteration. Um, you have you have the opportunity to you add more events. You know, you can include matchups for the special teams, which they did this year. They added the kicking event this year, but you can add more for the special teams, more for the offensive linemen who I don't think are as involved in it. You can add a few more things in there and stretch it out for 3 hours, so that way you could put it into a stadium, fill it with a crowd, and call that the Pro Bowl. Get rid of the game. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my take. I'm hoping that they do that. I think
I
you
Look,
have to consider it.
the next couple years, we just need to all watch the skills showdown and not watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, well, you can't pull me away from any football, but I will try. I'll try to keep myself away from this Pro Bowl. I won't. I will probably watch. Anyways, um, but no, I agree though. I would love to. I think that's what happened last year. I think the skill showdown got more views, but I don't know if it did because I think it was on a weeknight, and meanwhile it's the other one's on a Sunday, so I think that Sunday one got more views because of
Yeah,
that.
just how it happens.
So there you go. That's how it happens. Real quick, let's go through the head coaching stuff. Arizona, as Gocubs hinted at earlier, has hired a new head coach. His name is Steve Wilkes, and he is a well-respected guy. Even though he was only the defensive coordinator for the Panthers for a year, he's made an impact on a lot of people. A lot of people love him for his leadership, and they've already just hired Mike McCoy as offensive coordinator. That was news that just broke. Um, so you have Steve Wilkes in here and gonna hopefully make a already good defense even better. The big question is who's going to be the quarterback because there's no quarterbacks under contract right now for the Cardinals with Carson
Yeah.
Palmer retiring and Gabbert and Stanton going into free agency. I don't think you re-sign any of them, so it's really he
No.
starts with a clean slate. Everyone says, "Oh, that's a terrible job because you have a bunch of uncertainty." Well, I'm sitting here like, well, no, because you get to start fresh for the most part,
You get to control.
right? I don't see why not. Um, and you got the Tennessee Titans, the Titans, who have hired Mike Vrabel from the Houston Texans as defensive coordinator, or who was the defensive coordinator rather, and he's now the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Um, and that was a big deal because he doesn't really have a ton of coaching experience, but people enjoyed him again as a leadership role type guy. And what will be fascinating to see is who he hires as the offensive coordinator because the big thing is to get someone to develop Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
If I'm the Titans, I'm rooting for John DeFilippo from the Eagles, who's the quarterback coach there.
Ooh,
He had a
yeah,
really solid season. I would hope again if I was a Titans fan to have him be the offensive coordinator there.
for sure.
Um, and then Giants, we already knew that Pat Shermer was going to be the head coach. That was confirmed this week, and there's some interesting comments from Dave Gettleman that essentially said we might just we're going to take the best player available at the number 2 overall pick, which most GMs say that, and they still end up picking the quarterback. But I found this really interesting that he said it because I think about his past, and everyone kind of made fun of the Giants when they made the Dave Gettleman hire because it was like, oh, well, he's a trenches guy, so all he'll draft is defensive lineman, offensive lineman, and not that I'm, I trust that this Giants regime will get it right now. I'm just kind of in that trust the process mode. I'm not a big fan
Yeah.
of either hire for the most part. I'm pretty just at peace with whatever happens at this point. But I would not be surprised if this team goes offensive lineman uh, for the second overall pick. And
Mhm.
I will want to stab myself if that happens. Because I get it. You can go quarterback maybe in the second round, but this is your chance to get a franchise guy. You get it, you grab it, and you suckle on it. You gotta do it. You gotta make it right. If you don't go quarterback, get Saquon Barkley, please. For the life of me, get Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Get someone on that offensive side that's a skill position player, not someone that's in the trenches. I know the offensive line is an issue, but that's just something that can be addressed in free agency or even later in the draft. Just don't take an offensive lineman with the second overall pick, please. I beg of you. And if they take a fucking defensive lineman with how deep the defensive line is for the Giants, I'm gonna I'll do worse than stab myself. I'll stab myself and then turn it slowly. I forget what the situation we described yesterday when we were talking where that was happening, but that's the feeling that I will have if they do that. So I'm just waiting for that to all occur. Regardless, my microphone just dropped there. Let's go do the last thing here, and that is the XFL. Gocubs, do you know what the XFL is?
It's sport. It's a bunch of people going, why the fuck are there more safety rules in the NFL? And then being like, hey, let's make let's make football, but everyone beats the ever loving shit out of each other for ratings, and then get canceled after a season.
That's essentially it. You had with the NFL, you always have competition. You got the USFL, early, like in the 80s, 90s or so. You had Donald Trump as one of the owners, and he kind of ended up driving the league into the ground. And you also have the AFL and the Indoor Football League, who are still going now, even though they're not as strongly. At least the arena football isn't as strong. And you have the Canadian Football League, which is very, very popular up north, of course. But of course, still not close to being as popular as the NFL. A lot of people have tried to take down the NFL, or at least add some competition to them. None have succeeded, and none failed worse than the XFL back in, I think it was 2000. Yes, that was the season. That was run, of course, by Vince McMahon, the chairman of the WWE. And let me just say, first off, if you enjoy the WWE, that's totally fine. But the idea that you would call a scripted reality show a sport, in my eyes, is not good. Sports is unplanned. It's unplanned competition. You don't plan ahead of time in WWE, or rather, you don't plan ahead of time in sports. It's scripted WWE. I never really liked Vince McMahon. I think that he's always just brash and annoying, and just kind of one of those guys that you don't really want to get into an argument with. So, to me, I kind of saw this announcement today, and I was just kind of like, oh great, this is going to be a fun, entertaining meme for a little while until it dies off again. I thought he would come in and immediately be like, we need to get back to what football used to be. Go and talk about violating every single safety rules and not just completely shitting full force on NFL and safety regulations and all that. There was a lot of fun things that happened on Twitter as well. I think that a lot of people felt like this XFL would be a response or an outlet for people who got so freaking upset about the national anthem and all that they started boycotting the NFL. I saw a lot of funny tweets. One from Dave Lazo who was a reporter. It was just be like, Vince, will this football league appeal to conservative idiots claiming to have boycotted the NFL? And Vince answers, absolutely not. What are the team names? Boston Anthem Standards, Indianapolis The Troops, Texas Walls, California Deporters, DC Infowars, and New York Merry Christmases. There is also one I really liked that responded to that tweet saying, the Tampa Bay, why did they wait, I'm sorry, the Tampa Bay, why do they get to say the N-word and I can't?
Okay, So there's totally in the this is a Netflix show, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. First two seasons are good. Third season is ass terrible. But there's one joke in the third season where they're like, "Oh, the Washington Redskins are selling a lot of jerseys because a bunch of Native Americans buy them so they can burn them." Well, there's a lot more white people in America, so let's change our let's change all of our team names uh, to stuff that'll make white people mad. So you had like the Seattle uh,
Wait, say
shit like that.
wait, say that last one again.
The Seattle gun stealers,
Oh, god damn it!
so
The
that white
gun
people would
stealers.
buy jerseys to burn them in protest.
Why you should just it should have been Pittsburgh because then that's easy. You just put gun in front of it. Pittsburgh gun
Oh,
stealers. They
I
failed.
don't. Yeah, like I said, that season was shitty.
All right, well there you go. That's Exhibit A. No, but hey, it's
That was just the one good joke of the entire season.
yeah. I and we're not trying to. I mean, it just sounds like we're taking shots at conservative America, but it's really, you
Oh,
know,
I'm totally taking shots at conservative.
right,
Don't speak for yourself.
I'm just saying that it's really we talked about this earlier in the season with the protest, which feels like ages ago,
Yeah, really.
but we said that it's so annoying that people are boycotting the NFL over this and not like other issues that the NFL have fucked up royally over the
Yeah.
years. Um,
And then they go
so-
to the XFL, which perpetuates one of the largest issues with the NFL.
right.
That
Well,
being the violence
well,
of concussion protocol.
but here's the thing, and I found this fascinating. Um, it was a vague press conference, like even more vague than when they initially announced the XFL back then. They basically were saying we wanted to make the game faster. We don't want to, but we want to listen to players. We want to listen to teams. We want to listen to doctors, but more importantly, we want to listen to the fans. We want to make it safe. We want to make it family friendly, which is completely different than what the XFL was. The XFL literally at one point had just close-ups of cheerleaders like in like these like in like outfits, and like the announcer just trying to find words and he couldn't do so, like because they kept with the sexualization of it. They kept with like just the horrible violence of it, the obnoxious WWE style of it. There was just so much that went wrong with that league. They did not
Yeah.
know what they wanted to be, and it went from being such a great start when they first aired those games to just completely just changing everything, and it all just going to shit. If you did you watch this was the XFL ESPN
No, I did not.
documentary? Absolutely watch that, because
Will do.
that was a excellent showcase of what the XFL was, what they wanted it to be, and how it all just kind of fucked it all up. And they actually hinted at the end of that documentary that Vince McMahon wanted to bring it back, and he is doing so. But what's so fascinating about this is that they're not gonna have cheerleaders in there, which I kind of felt was kind of shitty, because I'm like, there's some. The NFL has done horribly with treating their cheerleaders, but like that's a prime job for a league that I don't think will end up catering to women. So like, why not just give it to some people who are interested in cheerleading, or maybe they will, and I'll take back those comments. But I don't trust the XFL for the life of me right now. Also, they're not gonna allow any players with a criminal record at all. Like, even if you just got like one little crime, then you're not gonna be allowed in. Which on the surface is nice, but at the same time, like, how are we talking? Like, if there's a guy that committed a ridiculously stupid crime that shouldn't even be a crime, then why keep him out of your league?
Like, if you got a speeding ticket, or is it like a crime like a speeding ticket? Is it a crime like a like pot possession?
Like pot possession, like I get that you want to maybe keep that idea would be to keep those people out, but it's like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, then you could go into the whole marijuana debate and all that, but still, it's like, I kind of understood where they're coming from, and then of course you had, well, we're gonna have people stand for the national anthem. I mean that was a very significant part of his thing and saying that, but he also was
watch. Okay, all right. Prediction for the XFL: viewership is going to go down after the first 5 minutes. People just want to watch the national anthem.
right, yeah,
Players stand for the national anthem, and then they're like, okay, this is really boring, and then turn away.
right, exactly.
But they'll watch it. They'll watch the anthem every week.
Yeah, and Vince McMahon, everyone was saying, I thought that it was going to be like, he's going to get President Trump to endorse the shit out of this. But he was adamant, saying this is nothing to do with politics. We want politics completely removed from it. So if Kaepernick wants to go into this league and wants to not kneel, then that's open for him. He doesn't have a criminal record. Many people think he does, because who knows, but he doesn't. Tim Tebow could play in this league, but Johnny Manziel, everyone thought, oh, Johnny Manziel would be perfect. He has a criminal record, so you can't put him in. So it's like, that takes that out. Yeah. So I'm like, you have all those crazy names.
Skill Showdown is like in 1 minute.
Yeah, we're about to shut this down. Anyways, I think I'm gonna hold my breath on the XFL. I really am looking.
It's going to be terrible. It's going to last one season and get shittier ratings than the first time, even though there are more human beings on the planet.
I want to see how it plays out over the next 2 years when they plan it, because it's not going to air until 2020.
Right.
If it doesn't sound shitty by that time, I'll at least tune in just to see what happens. And if it is shitty, then we'll move on. Anyways, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Enjoy Pro Bowl week. And we will be back.
That thing.
We'll be back for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again. Be good to one another. Be kind to one another. And I'll see you guys next time.
Eat your vegetables.
Bye-bye.